There is just so much to do at Walt Disney World. Whether it's the rides, the food, the character meets, the shows or the parades, there's just something for everyone. In fact, if you only have a short amount of time at the parks, there may be too much to do. If you can only make it to Disney World once a year, you'll want to do it all. But if you're only there for a week or less, then I'm afraid that's pretty much going to be impossible. However, there's some rides in my opinion that stand out a little bit more above the rest that you may also want to prioritise on your trip too. I'm going to let you know which my top 10 rides are across all the 4 parks. Before I begin, I want to point out that these are my personal opinions. I'm a thrill seeker and I love my coasters. If you're not a fan of the more thrilling rides, then I'm sure you may have different opinions. There's so many rides and attractions at Disney World, so make sure to try as many as you can, no matter how long you're there for. Also, make sure to make use of that FastPass Plus system as well. It's free and it'll mean you can beat those long lines. Also, before we begin this video, if you do enjoy watching this episode, make sure to hit that like button, and if you're feeling extra cheeky and you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single thing, because we make plenty of theme park related videos every single week here at the KD Adventures, which you don't want to miss. Number 10. Slinky Dog Dash. One of the newer rides to be introduced to Hollywood Studios, Slinky Dog Dash is one of the most popular rides across the resort. Being a great family coaster with some of the best theming that you'll ever see, it's pretty much certain that you'll have to wait a while to get on this one, unless you have a fast pass. When entering Toy Story Land, you're shrunk down to the size of a toy, as you explore Andy's backyard. Slinky Dog Dash is a mega coaster play kit, which Andy has assembled. As you go through the queue, you come across instructions and parts to this kit throughout. Once you've boarded Slinky Dog, you then zoom off across the track. Although Slinky Dog Dash is a very fun ride, it does sit at my number 10 due to the ride being quite tame compared to the other rides across Walt Disney World. However, if you're looking for a fun family ride, this is definitely one that you need to check out. Number 9. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Another Disney World fan favourite, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train can be found in Magic Kingdom and is another great family coaster. Not only is this a super fun ride, it also features some amazing animatronics. As you can probably guess, this ride is based off the 1937 classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and opened at the park in 2014. What's even more special about this coaster is that it features a tilting vehicle, which moves as you go around the track. This is to simulate how it would feel to be in a real minecart. Not only does this ride feature some brilliant audio animatronics, it also features classic animatronics that were recycled from the previous Snow White Scary Adventure attraction, which closed 2 years earlier in 2012. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is my number 9, as although this is a very fun family coaster, there's another similar coaster in Magic Kingdom which I find just a little bit more enjoyable. Having said that, it is still a ride that you should make time for when visiting Magic Kingdom. Number 8. The Haunted Mansion. This is a ride that usually comes towards the top of people's lists. This is because this is an absolute classic, with the original over in California dating back over 50 years. It was that successful in Disneyland that it was made an opening day attraction at Magic Kingdom. This ride takes you through a creepy mansion filled with ghouls and all things spooky. You're given the story of different ghosts as you travel through the different scenes and encounter some incredible special effects which are continuously being updated. What's even better about this ride is that it uses an Omnimover system, which means you never have to wait too long to experience the ride. You may be surprised to see the Haunted Mansion at my number 8 spot, however this is because there's 7 other rides around the parks which appeal to me a little bit more. However, the Haunted Mansion is still one of my favourites and cannot be missed if you're making a trip to the Magic Kingdom. Number 7. Pirates of the Caribbean. Another one which may surprise you that it's high up on my list is Pirates of the Caribbean. Another classic which usually takes the top spots on the favourite rides list, Pirates of the Caribbean is one that cannot be missed. The ride is nearing its 50-year mark, having opened just 2 years after Magic Kingdom opened in 1971. Having said that, the ride is far from being outdated due to the updates and refurbishments which occur every year. Probably one of the largest updates was the addition of Captain Jack Sparrow, who, as you may already know, is the star of the popular film franchise. Pirates of the Caribbean takes you through the story of Puerto Dorado, which has been taken over by pirates. You sail through the different scenes, which are filled with incredible animatronics, special effects, and of course it wouldn't be a classic Disney dark ride without a catchy tune. Pirates of the Caribbean takes its place at number 7, as although it's one of my favourite rides at Walt Disney World, and it also beats the Haunted Mansion ever so slightly in my opinion, there's still a few more rides that deserve a spot at the top of my list. Number 6, Space Mountain. As we enter the top half of my list, this is where my absolute all-time favourites appear. Up there at the number 6 spot has to be Space Mountain. So far, all but one ride has been from Magic Kingdom, and this ride is no different. Found in the Tomorrowland area of the park, Space Mountain takes you on a journey as you speed through space in complete darkness. With this bobsled style ride, it's full of surprise ups and downs, and unless you've been on the ride 1,000 times, you have no idea what's ahead. The idea of using a bobsled style coaster came from the Matterhorn bobsleds at Disneyland California. As Magic Kingdom didn't have this ride, the idea was used instead on Space Mountain. This ride is an absolute must if you're heading to Magic Kingdom and you don't mind a good thrill. Space Mountain is my number 6, it's fun, fast and also very different. It's unique to find a ride like Space Mountain, and it's a ride you can go on over and over again. There's still a few rides that beat it, but it's still one of my all-time favourites. Number 5, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. It's the wildest ride in the wilderness. At number 5 we have Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, by far one of the most fun rides in the whole of Walt Disney World. Big Thunder Mountain takes you on a wild journey on a mine train style coaster. The theming is brilliant on this ride, and the ride itself is just pure fun. Although this is one of the more thrilling rides that Walt Disney World has to offer, it's still fun for the whole family. Big Thunder Mountain can be found at 4 other Disney parks across the world. Each version has a similar backstory, however there are slight changes between each of them. The actual ride itself has a similar layout as you make your way around the mountain. Having said that, there are versions of the ride that are a little bit better than the others. For example, the Big Thunder Mountain at Disneyland Paris is a little bit more enjoyable than the Magic Kingdom version in my opinion, due to the fact that the Disneyland Paris version of the ride takes you under a river and the mountain is on a completely separate island. This also means there are darker sections of the ride as you go under the river, and it's also a bit more intense. This is why Big Thunder Mountain sits at my number 5. Maybe if I hadn't been on the Disneyland Paris version, it may be higher, but the version at Magic Kingdom is still highly enjoyable and a must-do when visiting the park. Number 4, Flight of Passage. So, here we are at number 4, and it was really hard for me to decide where these final 4 went on the list. Almost every ride on this list has been at Magic Kingdom, however, claiming their spot at number 4 is a ride that can be found at Animal Kingdom. This is definitely a ride that takes the top of a lot of people's lists. It's the most immersive and technologically advanced rides out there. I'm talking about the incredible Flight of Passage, which can be found at the also insanely immersive area known as Pandora. Flight of Passage is a motion simulator, which makes you feel like you're flying on the back of a banshee, which is kind of like a big bird dinosaur thing. You sit on what looks like a motorbike, your feet are strapped in, and then you take off, soaring through the world of Pandora. Not only is the visual aspect of the ride out of this world, but they also pump smells at you too, such as grass and dirt, so you feel like you're really in the Avatar world. Flight of Passage is by far one of the best rides, not just in Disney World, but in the whole world. It may have a long queue, but it's definitely a ride that's worth the wait. The third mountain making the list, and the third ride at the top of my list, is Splash Mountain. It's a classic, it's super fun, and it's just awesome. There are a few different elements that make this ride so good. One is that there's a story that's easy to understand. You're taken into the world of Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, Brer Bear, Brer Frog, Brer this, and Brer that. In the story, Brer Rabbit leaves home, but is followed by a naughty fox and his bear friend. You're then thrown down into a briar patch, which is represented by the huge flume drop. Another element that makes this ride so great is the length. This ride is almost 12 minutes long. When you queue up ages for a ride, you want a decent amount of time to actually be on the ride. There's some coasters out there that literally last seconds. However, Splash Mountain really makes it worth the wait, and it's also perfect when the weather is hot, which is extremely likely in Florida. Finally, the last element that puts the ride at my number 3 spot is that it is so much fun. The story is brilliant and the drops inside the attraction can get you super soaked. Although this is a ride that's more thrilling, it's still fun for the whole family. Oh, and the music is also insanely catchy. Number 2, Expedition Everest. The tallest in Walt Disney World and the most expensive in the entire world. It would be insane not to put this ride on this list. The second ride to make the top 10 at Animal Kingdom is Expedition Everest. When Animal Kingdom opened, there were barely any rides. In fact, it was just Dinosaur that classed as a ride. Everything else was a boat ride or a show. This isn't a bad thing, as Animal Kingdom mainly focuses on the wildlife and the animal conservation. However, if you were a thrill seeker before 2006, then Animal Kingdom was the last Disney park that you'd want to visit. Expedition Everest opened in 2006 and is a steel coaster manufactured by Vekoma. Although the ride is called Expedition Everest, you don't actually go up Mount Everest. You venture through the Forbidden Mountain, which is inhabited by a very naughty Yeti that loves breaking things such as coaster tracks and even himself by the looks of things. Expedition Everest is the most expensive ride in the whole world, or at least it was until Hagrid decided to go on a motorbike adventure. It cost an incredible $100 million. If you look at it, you'll see why. Not only do you go on a coaster ride through a Himalayan mountain, you encounter animatronics, broken but it still moves, kinda, special effects and also a backwards section. This ride is by far one of the all-time favourite rides at Walt Disney World. I could ride this again and again and never get bored. It's a more intense ride, however it's still classed as a family coaster, so why not take your kids on it? Expedition Everest gets its rightful place at number 2. Well deserved. So here we are, number 1. The moment you've all been waiting for. What is my number 1 ride in the whole of Walt Disney World? There's so many rides and attractions between all 4 parks, but there's only one that has the best story, theming, ride system and thrill factor. At number 1 is the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. Hollywood Studios just gets better and better. When the park opened in 1989, it was okay, but as it was mainly a studios park, it didn't really have many rides. You had the Great Movie Ride, but that was about it. However, as the years have gone on, more and more keeps being added. Recently, we've seen Galaxy's Edge, and also Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I've not yet experienced these rides, so that's why they haven't yet made the list. But when I finally return in March 2021, I'm sure this list will be shaken up. In 1994, Sunset Boulevard was added to the park. Along with that came the 199-foot tall Hollywood Tower Hotel. This was the largest attraction at Disney World, until number 2 spot Expedition Everest came along, beating it by just half an inch. The Tower of Terror is my favourite dark ride in the world. The spooky theming is incredible, and the backstory makes the experience even better. The ride system itself is an actual elevator, which was manufactured by an actual elevator company. What makes this different from the usual freefall drop tower is that you don't actually freefall, you get pulled down. This means you fall faster than gravity. Being held down by just a seatbelt means you actually lift off your seat along with any personal belongings in front of you. Everything about this ride is just perfect, and although I'm a Guardians of the Galaxy fan, I just really hope that they keep the Hollywood Studios version exactly how it is. It's likely that we'll see the Disneyland Paris version get the Guardians treatment over the coming years due to the Tower of Terror being a replica of the Disneyland version. However, the Twilight Zone theme has become such a classic and is now a quarter of a century old. The Twilight Zone Tower of Terror will always remain at the top of my list, and it will take something absolutely godly to even come close. So there we have it, my top 10 rides at Walt Disney World. Disagree with any? Let me know down in the comments below. There's new rides being added to Disney World all the time, so it's very likely that this list will change in the coming years, or even months. We're yet to ride any of the Galaxy's Edge rides, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so it's definitely looking like some of the rides at the top of this list are in danger. As I mentioned at the start, Disney accommodates for everyone and everyone has different preferences. I'm a thrill seeker, but if you're more into family rides, there will be attractions that you love that aren't even on this list. Therefore, if you have enough time, make sure to check out all the rides that Disney has to offer, because they're all amazing in their own way. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.